In 2024, you were asked by Glenn Beck about Epstein's Black Book. And you said, he asked, who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book? And you said, Black Book, FBI. And he said, but who? That is, I mean theirs. And you said, oh, that's under the direct control of the director of the FBI. That's what you said. Was that true, Mr. Patel?
I'll rely on you quoting it accurately. I did that a couple
Was
of
it
years
true
ago.
what you represented to Mr. Beck and the president's supporters out there, or were you lying? Was it true that the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book, was in the possession of the FBI director?
The Black Book was in the possession of the FBI.
Okay, so now that you're the FBI director, you have possession of the Black Book, right?
Based on the structure you provided, here's the intro. So if you've never heard of Kash Patel before, he's the former Trump administration official and current FBI director nominee, who's been making headlines for his loyalty to Trump and his promises to shake up the Bureau. Unfortunately, his track record is a masterclass in saying whatever's necessary to please one man. Patel has repeatedly pushed the lie that the 2020 election was stolen, vowed to go after journalists and members of the so-called deep state, and has now been caught playing games with the Epstein files, something he very publicly promised to release. And in this clip, he finally gets cornered by Senator Schiff, who catches him in a blatant bait-and-switch regarding the Epstein Black Book he's been hyping up for months. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end.
No politicization at the FBI. There'll be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as FBI director. So let me ask you very specifically, did you ever take any action to terminate or discipline an FBI agent or employee in whole or in part as retribution for being part of an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
No.
You also committed, you assured Senator Blumenthal, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. So you're testifying today that you played no role in the firing of even a single FBI agent for political retribution.
None for political retribution.
And if any FBI agent said you did, they would be lying. Is that your testimony?
I'm only speaking to my actions. Everybody is allowed to make their allegations.
Oh, no, these are allegations against you.
And
so, Mr. Patel, if FBI, senior FBI agents or employees said that you were firing them for political retribution reasons because of the cases they were assigned, you're saying they would be lying. Is that
anyone that was terminated at the FBI was done so for failing to meet the standards, uphold their constitutional oath, and effectuate the mission.
Well, by meet the standards, are you talking about meet the standards of protecting the president under any circumstance?
No.
You also guaranteed Senator Blumenthal that every FBI employee will be held to the same, absolute same standard. No one will be terminated for case assignments. Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI in whole or in part because of a prior case assignment?
No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone.
Well, I'm asking about you, Mr. Patel. Did you, in whole or in part, terminate anyone at the FBI because they worked on the Trump investigation or because they worked on January 6th?
No one at the FBI has been terminated for case assignments alone.
Okay, you're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone. That means they were fired in part because they were assigned those cases. Is that your testimony?
Absolutely not. But if you want to keep putting words in my mouth,
then
go
let
ahead.
me ask you, let's strip away the word alone. Did you terminate or participate in any discipline of any FBI employee in whole or in part because of their work on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Yes or no?
Any terminations at the FBI by employees.
No, I'm asking you a very specific
question. And I'm
question.
going to answer the question, but you don't like the answer because it's the
No,
truth and it guts
I want
your
an answer to my
narrative.
question. I don't want an answer to someone else's question. So let me just be precise, and I ask for a yes or no answer. Did you ever terminate or discipline an FBI employee in whole or in part because they had been assigned or worked on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
FBI
yes or no?
employees are only terminated
Yes
if
or
they
no,
fail
Mr.
to
Patel?
uphold their oaths of
Yes or
office
no?
and duty.
You're not
That's the
answering my
FBI
question.
I
You're
don't
not
have to
answering my
answer your
question.
question yes or no because you're setting up a trap so you can have a
Oh,
media
no, I'm
narrative.
not setting up a trap.
And I'm not giving it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People
in
have
whole
been
or in part
terminated at
because
the
they-
FBI who failed to uphold
You're
the
assigned
standards
to.
that the FBI requires them to
Did
uphold.
you tell anyone at the FBI that all FBI employees who they identified who had worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
Say that I would remove people for case assignments?
That people that were identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
People are not removed
But
for
just
case
answer my
assignments.
question. Just answer my question. Did you tell that to
People
someone?
are not removed for case
No,
assignments.
you're not answering my question.
And I would
Mr.
never
Patel,
tell anyone.
Did you tell someone at the FBI that FBI employees identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Yes or no, did you tell someone that?
I would never tell anyone at the FBI that they're being removed for basically their case assignments.
Okay, so anyone who said that would be lying. Is that your testimony?
Anyone can say whatever they want.
No, I know, but you're saying they were a liar.
I'm telling you what I said.
Because this is in the complaint against you, Mr. Patel. So you're saying Mr. Driscoll and others are liars?
I'm not going to address the complaint and the ongoing
Okay, well then let me ask
litigation.
you, have you ever told anyone at the FBI that the FBI tried to put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it, and that your job depended on the removal of agents who worked on cases against the president?
No.
Did you ever tell anyone that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell anyone that you knew these summary firings you were undertaking were illegal, likely illegal, and that you would be sued and later deposed? Did you ever tell anyone that?
No firings at the FBI or terminations were done for anything other than justified
Did you ever
cause.
tell anyone that, Mr.
No,
Patel? Why don't you
no
answer my question?
terminations at the FBI were ever done in my tenure for anything other than failing
Did you ever
to
tell
uphold
anyone
their
that,
oath of
Mr. Patel? You willing to
office
answer
or
the
their-
question?
The FBI.
I guess
I
you're not
have
willing to
answered
answer the
it.
question. So let me move on. Let me move on to the Epstein files. You said you're the most transparent FBI director in history, so I'm going to put you to the test. In 2024, you were asked by Glenn Beck about Epstein's Black Book. And you said, he asked, who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book? And you said, Black Book, FBI. And he said, but who? That is, I mean, there's, and you said, oh, that's under the direct control of the director of the FBI. That's what you said. Was that true, Mr. Patel?
I'll rely on you quoting it accurately. I did that a
Was
couple
it
years
true
ago.
what you represented to Mr. Beck and the president's supporters out there, or were you lying?
No.
Was it true that the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book, was in the possession of the FBI director?
The Black Book was in the possession of the FBI.
Okay, so now that you're the FBI director, you have possession of the Black Book, right?
That index has been released.
So you have Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book?
What is known as Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book has been released by us.
And you released it. And let me follow up on Senator Kennedy's question, because he asked you, and I'll be very precise here. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said, himself, there's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never
Patel?
said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question,
And I
Senator Kennedy's
said
question.
the information that 3 administrations have had access to
I'm
have
asking
made
you-
determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I'm
Well,
specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
it's
were
your
working on.
testimony today.
Well, you just read it, and I
I'm-
said it
I'm-
10 minutes ago, so let the record reflect my
I
testimony.
just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Guifer who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying. And you can say whatever you want.
Let me ask you this. When Todd Blanche went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, but did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers, and you know would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find out. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that. And the next question Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, asked is not who in the cabinet, who are you referring to? His question is, so when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? So let me ask you, who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that, that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
The Deputy Attorney General took the aggressive step that no one else did and interviewed Ms. Maxwell for 2 days, and we released the entirety of that transcript.
Who are the cabinet members?
I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American public can read the entirety of that.
Let me ask you one last question, because you clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. Let me ask you one last question, and that is, right after she gives this testimony, in front of an FBI agent, among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of inmates.
Not in the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your show.
All right, let's break this down. If you've been following American politics lately, you know that the Jeffrey Epstein case never really went away. It's been simmering under the surface, and it occasionally erupts into moments of absolute chaos in Washington. We just witnessed one of those moments, and it centers on a very specific, very loaded question. What happened to the promise to release the Epstein Black Book? The latest flashpoint is a direct confrontation between Senator Adam Schiff and FBI Director Kash Patel. Before we get to the shouting, we need to rewind to 2023 and 2024 because that context is everything. Back then, Kash Patel wasn't the director of the FBI. He was a Trump loyalist and a very vocal commentator. And in multiple public statements, Patel was absolute in his position. He stated clearly that Epstein's Black Book was under direct control of the director of the FBI, and that on day one of a new administration, that book should be rolled out to the public. No ifs, no buts, no redactions. Release it, was the message. Fast forward. Donald Trump is back in office. Kash Patel is now the director of the FBI. Attorney General Pam Bondi pops up on national television and drops a bombshell, saying a client list from the Epstein network is literally sitting on her desk. The expectation is set. The audience is waiting. And then, a release happens. But it's partial. It's redacted. And the backlash is immediate and fierce. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went on the offensive, pointing out that what dropped was just a fraction of the files, accusing the DOJ of actively hiding the majority of them. Elon Musk waded in, denying any personal connection but insisting that those who truly committed crimes need to be prosecuted. The pressure was building, And it all came to a head in that Senate hearing. This brings us to the showdown. Adam Schiff, who has a long history of clashing with Trump allies, sits down and essentially asks the question millions are asking. You said you'd release it. Pam Bondi said it was on her desk. Why are extensive files still hidden? And why are we hearing about whistleblowers from the FBI's New York field office claiming there are thousands of pages you haven't disclosed? Now, this is where the hearing left the rails. If you're expecting a technical legal answer, that's not what happened. Patel instantly went on the attack. He didn't just deflect. He called Schiff a liar on Russiagate, the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate, and an utter coward. The gavel came down, but the shouting match drowned it out. The substance of the Black Book question got completely buried under a wave of personal vitriol. So why is this happening? What exactly is in these black books that makes them so volatile? There are actually multiple versions out there. A 1997 edition leaked that contains 349 entries, with over 200 names that weren't even in the later, more famous 2004 version. We know Donald Trump's contact details are in the 1997 book, which reignited debate over his past association, though Trump has stated he never visited Epstein's island. There were also physical copies auctioned off, containing hand-scrawled notes and checkmarks next to major financial figures. For investigators today, the Black Book isn't just an address book. It's a roadmap of an elite social network. During the recent release chaos, a 2009 FBI sting video emerged showing Epstein's house manager trying to sell one of these books for $50,000, arguing it contained powerful people and victims, even alleging there was a separate database of girls kept by Ghislaine Maxwell. This is why the redaction issue is so critical. Members of Congress like Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie reviewed some of these files and came out furious, revealing that the names of powerful men, including a billionaire and a Dubai CEO, had been blacked out. Khanna's verdict? It's a farce, designed to protect the wealthy. But here's the counter-argument that Patel and his defenders use, and it's worth looking at closely. When pressed by representatives like Jamie Raskin on why the names of co-conspirators aren't being released, Patel insists that everything that can be lawfully released has been. The distinction he makes is crucial. There's a difference between a contact list and proof of criminal activity. Patel argues that releasing unverified names or raw intelligence would be irresponsible and illegal. He specifically stated he will not release child sexual abuse material or information restricted by grand jury secrecy, framing his refusal not as a cover-up, but as a legal boundary. That brings us to the central tension of this whole saga. The calls for transparency are emotionally satisfying, but legally complicated. If an unredacted name in an old Rolodex doesn't have a corresponding verified crime, publishing it could be seen by a court as defamation or an abuse of power. Patel and Bondi claim they were misled by FBI field offices about how many documents existed, shifting the blame to the deep state for hiding the trove. So where does that leave us? In a classic he said scenario, you have Adam Schiff, representing a public that is deeply suspicious of why a dead pedophile's social network remains partially hidden. And you have Kash Patel, a man who once demanded instant transparency, now telling the public, I'm not going to break the law to satisfy your curiosity. Is it a cover-up to protect the political class? Or a messy bureaucratic reality of an investigation that predates the current administration? The only thing we know for sure is that these old address books, held together by leather and scandal, are still dictating the terms of a political war in Washington. Until the full context of every name is verified or eliminated from suspicion, the hearings won't get any quieter.